What's up, team? This is Chris, Bets with Big Data here today, and this video is going to be a how-to with all of our tools. So we believe in having full transparency here, and we want you guys to see how I do it personally for my own betting and how to use all of our tools so that you can create an edge and that you can make some money in the sports books like we're doing. So today we're going to go through our model and our GPTs, and I want to show you how everything together works so that you can have an edge on the betting slate. So let's get into it and let's go from there. So if you guys subscribe to Bets with Big Data, you're going to get this spreadsheet right here. And this spreadsheet right here is our MLB model that has a ton of data points from trends and things that have happened this season. So every single one of these data points is here to help us kind of figure out what's the likely outcome based on stuff that's happened in the past. So how we do this is that I pull up 4 tabs. You need Switch Analytics Weather, which is switchanalytics.com/MLB/weather. I have my Major League Baseball starting pitchers, which is MLB.com/probable pitchers. And then we've got our sports pick up here. I'm in Arkansas, so I can't use FanDuel, but it's universal, so that's what we're going to stick with today. So once you have that information, we can start putting our information in. So the Blue Jays are the home team. So we're going to put Blue Jays. Then Yankees are the away team. And then we're going to put the starting pitchers in. Now be careful when you do this. One thing that will pop out is that on some of the pitchers, they have special characters. So if it doesn't pull up, you may have to get creative with how you spell their name. But there's Carlos right there, so we're going to put that in. So once I have this information, I'm going to move on to Switch Analytics. So I need to find what the temperature is. So I'm going to check the temp. It's 76. So I put in 76. And the wind is blowing out. So anytime the wind is blowing out, we're going to put that into our spreadsheet. So it's 7.2. If the wind's ever blowing in towards home plate, we're going to put a negative there. We have seen a trend where the wind is affecting over-under, and so we want to make sure that we're putting that in properly. So after we do that, we're going to start putting in our game totals and our odds. So this is an 8.5, and I like to put both odds in just to make sure that there's nothing's getting flagged. I always want really, really good edges. We're good there. It did both. So the over 8.5 is a good bet based on the data. So once we do that, we're going to go to the first 5. So the first 5 total runs is 4.5. We put in 4.5 and minus 120, and that is a no bet. I'm also going to put in 108, and I want to show you what happens. So the 108 odds, that's where we get an over. The minus 120 is where we lose, because that means that we're paying too much vig for the probability of that based on what this data shows us. So I'm going to stay away from that one because there's a no bet. And then we're going to go to the actual team runs right here. So let's see what the Blue Jays got. Blue Jays are 3.5. I bet you this come back as an over. Yep. So we've got minus 113 and minus 115 for the odds. And we've got a bet over right there. Yankees are 4.5 at minus 113 and minus 113. So I'm not going to do run lines today. That's something else we're going to work on down the road. We are still working on a couple data points on that, but the over and unders are ready to go. So we're going to stick with those today. So these are my 3 recommended bets. So over game total, and then both teams over there. So I'm going to then decide, okay, now that I have my data, how can I check for any other information that I may have missed? And that's where the GPTs come into play. If you guys want to see why they recommended these bets, so for example, the game total, this is going to be all of the data points that we've added together, and this is the weighted total projection. So based on the data that we have, we're projecting a 9.043 runs. So we're looking at 9 runs for this game is what we think is going to happen. So if you want to really nerd out on that, I recommend going through that. And if you guys feel like there's a data point we missed, please run it by us because we're always looking for ways to get better. So after I see that these are the 3 bets that I want to make, I'm going to go to our GPTs, okay? So we're going to open up a new tab. Let's actually open up a new window. So I'm going to open up a new window, and we're going to go to our Bet Analyzer VIP. So if you have ChatGPT, you can go get Bet Analyzer VIP and assist with your betting decisions. So chatgpt.com, and then we're going to go to Bet Analyzer VIP. So now that I have my 3 bets, I want to make sure that there's not an injury that I may have missed. I want to make sure there's not a news report that I would have missed. And the best way to do that is by having AI find as much information as possible about it. So once I see that, you need to put in a couple of small things just so the GPT knows what you're trying to do. I have done thousands and thousands of these. So my Bet Analyzer VIP really knows my tendencies. It knows what I like. It knows what kind of bets I'm going to make. And so if I put a prompt in on mine, it's going to be different than the prop that you put in on yours. And so as you guys get used to this GPT, just remember that you're creating basically a betting assistant. It's like you have a supercomputer sitting there saying, hey, let's do these bets. I like this. I like that. And over time, it's going to start catering to what you like. Now, there's also going to be some adjustments that we can make down the road, which I'll show you that in a minute. So let's check on these 3 bets. So the first thing you need to always do is put the date. It is June 30th. And then always say what kind of bettor you are. If you're being aggressive, be aggressive. I'm conservative. It's June 30th. I'm a conservative bettor. I want to look at the Blue Jays and Yankees game for an edge on the over, under, and team totals. One thing I cannot stress to you all enough is do not put the bet in here. If you put over 8.5 runs, Bet Analyzer VIP is going to go find information and cherry pick so that that bet comes back as a good bet. Whenever you're trying to put stuff into Bet Analyzer, always be unbiased and always leave it open. So notice in this, I said, okay, I'm looking at the game and I want to see the over under team totals, but I'm not saying what I'm betting. And so by doing that, it's going to be less bias about what I'm putting in and I'm going to get better information. Okay. So I'm going to do that. And then we're going to run what it says. So once we start with our GPT, we have our 7-step model. So the first thing it's going to do is it's going to be looking at weather and injury. So the value analysis is basically the implied probability. It actually has it at 8. So I'm interested to see what the line movement does. We'll do that in a minute. But it is saying under 8 is a good bet here. And it's saying the projected ROI is 5.6%. 1.5 Z-score is not a great confidence. And this right here is going to sort of give you an idea of what it likes if it was just based on numbers. So it's recommending an under 8 runs here, and that's contradicting what our model shows. So this is where I have to decide as a bettor, how do I want to approach this? And I want to understand why Bet Analyzer did it that way. So I'm going to go through here. There's going to go through to injury. So it's got any kind of injury updates. I recommend checking these because sometimes you'll get a report from last year that'll be off. So make sure these are right. Pitchers are right. Here's some recent totals just formed like that, and weather's here. Now, transparency mode is something we're really going to get into, but this is what weighs the decision on the bet that it gave me. So what it did here is that it has 40% on pitcher form, 30% on bullpen depth, 20% on weather, and 10% on scouting metrics, okay? What I want you guys to know is that transparency mode is completely customizable. So for me, I am more concerned about the line movement and where is all the sharp money going. So in a minute, when we get through this, I'll show you. So this is the personalization. This is where if you're aggressive, it's going to be different here. This is the game level analysis. And then we always have to put a disclaimer in, guys, because as you know, betting is risky and everything can be right and you're going to lose that bet. You know, we had a bet the other day where the Pirates run to 3.5 and they scored 11. So that's how it goes sometimes. And we just want to make sure you guys get that. So what I'm looking for here is a reason that transparency mode gave us that bet recommendation is because 70% is on the pitching. Now, obviously it's Major League Baseball, so the pitching is very important, but for my betting purposes, that's not something I'm really going to lean into. So what I'm going to do here is that I want to change transparency mode. So I'm going to say, let's look at the line movement first. Where is the sharp money? All right, so what it's going to do then is it's going to run a report and try to find where is the money going recently, okay? So it has the money line right here and then totals. So this is where I have a huge red flag on what our model shows and then what the trends are. So 0.5 movement in MLB, I'm off. I am off of it unless it aligns with what our data says. So we're looking at this game at 8.5 and it's dropped to 8. So when I see that sort of sharp money going towards that bet, I'm off it. I'm not touching it. So instantly when I see that movement, it contradicts our overs, and then I'm going to find another game. So that's how we use Bet Analyzer to kind of just checks and balance with our data, because data is awesome, but data doesn't tell the full story. And so by having what the line's doing, where the public money is going, that's going to make sure that I'm making profitable bets. So one of the things too I want you to look for is transparency mode is completely customizable. So let's try this. I want to make line movement 50% of transparency mode even the rest out equally. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to see what it says if I just take the line movement into consideration, okay? So now we've got 50% line movement, 16.6% pitching form, 16.6% bullpen depth, and 16.6% weather impact. And it's basically running this bet now because that's how I want it weighed. So when you guys are betting this, there's going to be different things. When we're making our premium plays, it's because we are setting our bet analyzer with a certain lever. So you guys mess around with that and make it for you. What is so fun about this is that as you get better and better at it, and as it learns your betting trends, it'll start making the bets that you like more. So now that we have this here, I'm going to rerun that game total. So I'm just going to say rerun that game with these, and let's see what it comes back at. And I want to show you guys the difference. So keep in mind, the bet was under 8, and we still have an under 8. So even with the line movement, it's saying 7.5. That directly conflicts with our bet over from the data on our model. So even if I want to bet this game, it's not a smart bet. What I'm going to go back then is I'm going to look for another game. Let's do one real quick. Let's just try Boston real fast. Actually, we've already made a play on that today. Let's go Athletic in Tampa Bay. So we're going to put Tampa Bay, Athletics, Rasmussen, and Lopez. Okay, go to my switch analytics, and I'm going to find the Athletics and Rays. Cool, got another game where the wind's going out, so that's going to give us a little bit of a boost. So take that to 6.3, and we've got a 79-degree temperature on that. And then let's go to our sports book. So now we're going to go here, and we are going to find this game. But one of the things too, guys, is that we really want to be transparent with our posted plays. You know, this is stuff that I'm betting. So again, I'm a portfolio bettor. I try to get 100 bets in a day, and I use that money to pay my bills right now. And so I really want to make sure that we're getting our money in good and go from there. So Athletics and Tampa Bay Rays, we've got an 8.5 with a minus 115 and a minus 105. Whoops, minus 105. And we've got a no bet right here. So I'm staying off that one. If the data doesn't like it, I don't like it. So then we're going to go to popular. And I want to show you guys why this says no bet. So they've got the game at 8.5. We've got it 8.9. And that's just a 9.78 edge. We had it where a 5% edge was a bet recommendation. But we sort of changed that just so we could get a little bit better bets in. And we changed it to 10% there. All right, so they actually don't have these lines up. There must be something going on in this game, because they do not have the lines up for this. Let me try one more thing. All right. A's and Rays. All right, here we go. So we need to go to first 5. And in the first 5 total runs, we've got 3.5. So let's go back home. We're going to go 3.5. And we're going to go odds. We've got minus 154. There must be some money coming in there. And then we've got a plus 118. Okay, bet over on both sides there. So we're going to look into that in a minute and see where the money goes. While we're here, we're going to check out the total runs for the Tampa Bay Rays. They have 4.5. And minus 122. Minus 104. Doesn't like it. And we're going to go to Athletics total runs. We're going to do 3.5. And we got minus 122. And minus 104. Okay, so what this says to me is that there must be a pitching matchup that the data really likes. And so we're going to look into the first 5 and the Athletics over 3.5 team implied total. So when we go to away, it's saying that we've got 4.1 runs is what is expected from the data. And that gives us a 23.27% edge. So let's run that through ChatGPT, through Bet Analyzer, and see if that's a good bet. All right, so I'm going to go back home so I know what I'm betting. Open up Bet Analyzer. And keep these metrics for transparency mode. And let's do another game. So I'm just setting it up there to make sure it knows that. Where is the edge on the Rays Athletics for the first 5 innings, and athletics team total of 3.5. So again, this is going to give us just sort of a checks and balances, and let's see if anything comes out funny. So we've got a 4.7. So we've got, well, okay, so I put this prompt in wrong. It thinks athletics. I meant over under. So let me redo this real quick. I meant over under 4.5 runs in the first 5 innings. So again, guys, with Bet Analyzer, you're going to have to get it just like a computer. You're going to have to talk to it. Just think of it like a butler. All right, so we've got an over 4.5 runs in the first 5 innings. So right now, we have some things that are, oh, actually, it's 3.5. Holy smokes. And it's a recommending 4.5. That means that's a smash. So let's see what happens with 3.5. If it's saying over 4.5 in the first 5, that's crazy. So we got an 8 out of 10. Okay, so now we've got Bet Analyzer agreeing. And remember, now we've got where the money is really affecting what it's recommending. So this is going to give us some information. Now this is what I don't like, though. So what I'm looking for is the line open at 4.5 and steamed down to 3.5 at some places. And it's looking like sharp defense offense reads misalign, and the model takes advantage. So let's double check this. What is the money doing on the Rays athletics game or the over under? And I just want to see if there's something coming in here that's off. Because if we have an under and the money's doing something strange, I'm not going to touch it. Handle shows over. So it looks like there's a strong under trend. And everybody likes the under. So because of that, this is another bet I'm staying off of. I'm just not going to touch this one. And we're going to keep looking for the bets. So Mondays are not the best slates, but I just wanted to show you guys how we do our bets here and how you can use it. So guys, please hit me up on X. I love talking about this stuff and helping everybody make money and feel like they have a good process for betting, because what we want here is for you guys to learn how to fish, and hopefully our tools will help you do that. So check out our patreon.com, bets with big data. That's where we post our plays. And guys, seriously, reach out to me. I want you guys to be making money. Join us in the Discord, and we'll talk soon. Thanks.